What's going on, y'all? Fort Worth Fabian, man. We are back with another video. We're doing a reaction to the Sinaloa Cartel. More than 200 suspects or actual members were arrested in the Trump crackdown. So as y'all know, man, Trump's doing his sweep through the country, you know, and I think a lot of people are appreciative of the response, you know, kind of sweeping up the streets, cleaning up crime, ICE getting rid of a lot of illegal immigrants, even the black ICE crackdown in Chicago, you know. But if you're not familiar with the Sinaloa Cartel, also known as the CDS, the Guzman Lora Organization, the Federation, or the Pacific Cartel, a large drug trafficking transnational organized crime syndicate based in Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico, specializes in illegal drug trafficking and money laundering. Dangerous, very dangerous group. We know, obviously, if you don't know, but we know about Mexican cartels and the seriousness, cutting off your fingers. They don't play. Point blank, period. Very serious business. So let's go ahead and hop into the reaction, see what they got to say about this. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get it.
Accountability Institute, somebody, full disclosure, I do some work with. Peter, you wrote about this in Blood Money, one of your many books. You were on this a couple of years ago, but it seems like now that Trump's in office, they're finally paying attention to us. Explain how this is working and the Chinese involvement.
Chinese?
Yeah, no, I think it's so important that President Trump is taking a strategic approach to the fentanyl crisis, because Joe Biden thought it was just a healthcare issue. The bottom line is this is a Chinese operation. The drug cartels are the junior partners. The precursor chemicals, as about everybody now knows, come from China, but they're offloaded at the Port of Manzanillo in Mexico, which is run by a Chinese company. Those precursors are shipped up north, where the DEA says 2,000 Chinese chemists happen to be who turn this into the deadly cocktail of fentanyl.
Oh,
the
wow.
drug cartels then use pill presses that the Chinese have sold to them at cost to produce these pills, which are killing so many Americans. And then the money laundering aspect of it. The drug cartels 20 years ago used banks in Latin America. They're now using state-owned banks. So this is a strategic initiative by China to punish and damage the United States. And I applaud the Trump administration, not just this operation to unwind part of the money laundering aspect and the nature of it, but also the Trump approach on tariffs, which is saying you are going to pay a price. We're not the type of people who are going to do the same thing back to you, but you are going to pay a price with tariffs as long as you continue to put this poison in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, people always, they ask me, oh, what does the Hunter Biden context mean? When they snuggle up with China, and then the DEA was telling the Biden administration, hey, there's billions of dollars of drugs flowing into the country. You telling me there's not a tie and a connection here?
Bruh said Biden thought it was a healthcare issue. Oh, my days. Oh, my days. But anyways, this is kind of, well, it's not surprising, but Mexico and China hand in hand working together, man. There's a lot of conspiracy going on with people mention about China, even to talks back of COVID, right? When the vid was happening, and them being the ones who concocted this virus and released it, you know, like, if I recall correctly, people were saying a lot of the origins of, you know what, the crackdown. And supposedly that's like a banned word on YouTube. I don't know why people don't say it, but I'm not gonna start saying it. So y'all know what I'm talking about. The 2020 that it started in China. So a lot of I don't know. I don't think everybody would agree with the aspect that they're kind of conspiring to take down the U.S. But come on, man. Everything is manufactured out there, illegal or not. It's like,
I'm telling you, that you've highlighted, I could spend an hour on just this. It's so infuriating. But I want to transition to George Soros. There are some serious allegations. They're only allegations. But there's some thought that maybe RICO charges should be brought with some of the organizations tied to George Soros. Tell us about that.
facts.
Yeah, of course, I'm not a lawyer, but I've spent a lot of time studying this. RICO is a statute, was passed in 1970 to target organized crime and individuals who were financing and supporting criminal activity, because what was happening is they were arresting the guy on the street, but the guys that were behind it, that were organizing it and financing it, weren't getting arrested. So RICO was passed. It's been used in the past against the Aryan nations. It's been used against white supremacists in Mississippi. The National Organization of Women tried unsuccessfully to use it against pro-life groups. And what it comes down to is this: George Soros on the left, Elon Musk on the right, completely have the right to finance political activities. The question becomes, if you are funding organizations that are engaging in criminal conduct, violent criminal conduct. Think, for example, of the Los Angeles riots, some of the groups behind that. Think about the attacks on Tesla that have taken place. There was an attack down in Georgia in 2023 where they were throwing fire bombs and attacking cops at a place called Cop City. The organizations behind that were funded by funding networks like the Tides Foundation and the Open Society Foundation, which George Soros, of course, funds. So the question is, if they are funding organizations that are known to engage in criminal, violent conduct, could they be charged under RICO? And I think there is a precedent there, and I think it's something that ought to be looked at by prosecutors, because, again, we want to have a very strong conversation in America about the future of our country. We do not want wealthy individuals funding violent protesters that are tearing down our cities and that are harming law enforcement officers.
Man, these RICOs have been popping out left and right, and it's not like a lot of the inner city gangs, you know, they're getting RICO'd up. You know, a lot of hip hop artists, it's like in hip hop, that's a common thing. A lot of street dudes who are funding criminal activity in their hoods or in the neighborhoods that they come from. You know, a lot of the Bloods, Crips, and all their subsects and things of that, like their little umbrella gangs, or like the ones that the branch off gangs, so to speak. So this is a real thing. And based off of the definition of what a RICO is, as Peter here explained, man, hold them to the same standard. That's the thing. It's always like this. It's always this pick and choose. Literally, this aligns completely, entirely with RICO.
Yeah, look, it's about the most American thing you can do to protest your government, right? That's the First Amendment right. But when it tips over into violence, when you have pallets of bricks showing up, that is potentially something that is, you know, something that leads to violence. Last word, I have just a few seconds.
Yeah, no, I think the bottom line is this is something that ought to be investigated. If it's not occurring, if there's no criminal conspiracy here, that's fine. But it ought to at least be looked at by lawyers who can ascertain what is going on. Because these protests, these violent protests, are highly organized and they are clearly well funded, Jason.
I'm thinking that they're going to sweep this under the rug. They're not going to address it at all whatsoever. That's just typically how these things play out. But we're seeing a lot of these I thought he was mentioning Black Lives Matter, BLM, back when what was it? He said 2023, but I think obviously they were surfacing way before that. But off the fact that this is some type of protest group, and then it's like it's really deemed as a terrorist organization. If you're running around looting and like destroying establishments and buildings just to get your point across, you can have peaceful protests. But at that point, like, you're literally by the definition deemed a terrorist organization. So I'm not sure if there was specific funding behind that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you even got these folks who are in like California trying to just like cause mayhem and havoc just because they're upset that ICE is doing their job. And it's like, let law enforcement and the professionals do what they need to do, right? If you're sitting there trying to stop them from doing their job, you are deemed a problem to society. Let's get them out of there. Disorderly, whatever it is, let's get them gone. So comment down below, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless, man. Pray for this country, man. It's just all man. God bless. We'll see y'all next time.